So we have a process called value extraction. Simply put, it's what's the company's story. We look at your Google reviews, we take a look at your business, and we try and find something that's unique in the market that makes you stand out to say this is why your company is better to buy from than another company. And now it doesn't need to be a $130 million company like this, where they've got 30,000 numbers of projects completed, but this is just an extreme example. And then there's also smaller ones like this Big Fish. They're like 10 million, right? So not a huge company. But talking about something that makes you unique. For them, it's a 24-hour text line. I don't like that they called it a catch-all, but they put a catch-all on every job. Some people put a catch-all on some jobs. They're not no jobs at all. Not every company's GAF Master Elite. Sure, maybe their one's Corning Platinum Preferred, but the homeowner only knows that there's something that you have that not every roofer has, because this is not standard. You have to give yourself something to talk about that you can align with the customer's hot buttons. And I'll tell you the little psychological trick that happens here is that people are used to shopping this way. If you've ever bought a software or gone to look at like buying a vehicle, there is usually some kind of feature guide that tells you, look at all the check marks you get when you buy the best thing. So it's all on brand for the company, and it's usually grayscale, boring looking other column that says not standard. And then the psychological cue is that there's more to be had when buying from this company. From there, you have to separate what you sell to expand the scope, to try and say, hey, there's more to buying a roof than just this. This 12-panel solar upgrade is something that has killed it for a lot of companies. Basically, customers check a box asking for an $18,000 upgrade. But then you can also talk about things that you do that are just value in excessive price, like the CompanyCam page, where we just talk about the fact that, hey, this is our visual work order. This is how I make sure that everything I'm promising to you gets done. And on top of that, we're going to document the site conditions as we go. So if there is a change order, you're going to know why there's a change order. We're going to keep you in the loop. Every customer I've ever looked at, when we look at all the reviews, the number one sentiment in Google reviews is communication, communication, communication. So you have to have a page that says we're better at communicating. Then you get into more features and benefits of why working with you. Eustace Roofing is another great example. They use this equipter on every single job. I'm not saying you have to go and buy 13 equipters. If you do it and you don't talk about it, you're nuts, because not every homeowner is going to know that this is something you're doing in excess of the price. If two roofing companies are selling a roof for $18,000 and one of them is going to show up with this machine that's not going to damage your grass and it's going to put the shingles directly into the dumpster and they don't have to worry about having shingles sitting on top of their flower beds, they're going to pick this company. So even if the prices are the same, they're going to increase the close rate because you talked about the things that you do that others don't. And this goes on and on and on, talking about financing. Or even talking about this. This guy here, all he does is uses a magnet rake and a little metal detector. All they're doing is doing the same thing you're doing. You're using a magnet rake on your job. You're making sure there's no nails left behind. But when you get to talk about the fact that you use a catch-all and the magnet rake and the shingle saver, well, now you're protecting their property better than the next guy. But the point is that if you're going up against my customers who have this, they're going to beat you because it's value in excess of price. Even if you're doing it, you have to wait to be asked. And then if it's not in your proposal, how do people know for sure they're going to get it? Now, if we've demonstrated enough value in excessive price, the next thing we got to do is talk about the price. When you're conveying the products, you want natural human language, right? You don't want weird abbreviations. You want Vic West, Ultra Vic, exposed fastener, metal Z flashing, sidewall flashing. It's capital letters for the name, a line break, so it breaks up, creates white space. White space is what creates luxury. If you look at luxury websites, you go to Tiffany's and look at a jewelry website or any luxury brand, lots of white space. And they talk about how these are the features. You can even show line items and quantity pricing. You don't have to be a chicken. You'd be amazed how much it does not hurt you. But if you take advantage of the measurement tokens, it's very easy to produce a line-by-line quote. You don't have to show the quantities or the price, but you can. It doesn't hurt you as much as you think it will. But the point is that you want to be able to show people what they're getting for their money. If I just go on the Roofing Insights group or the Roofing Solar Claims group or any of these like roofing Facebook groups, every couple of days, maybe a week, it never fails, someone's going to come into the group and say, my customer asked me to show them a line-by-line quote. What do I say? And the roofing industry collectively tells that guy to tell his customer to go F himself. Not directly, but they'll say things like, oh, that's proprietary, or that's between me and the insurance carrier, or all these kinds of things, basically telling the customer to F off. And we've been coaching roofers to put that out there because what happens? When that guy who went in that Facebook group goes back to say the thing that he was told to say by the industry, all the customer knows is, I asked you for more transparency and you didn't give it. Now I think you're lying, and therefore I do not trust you. And even if your price is $1,000 less, I don't know if I feel comfortable choosing you. When you do get a person who says, you know what, there's another guy who's $1,000 cheaper, you can say, well, are they installing the metal Z flashing on this roof? Well, no, it just says remove old shingle roof system, inspect roof deck, install new synthetic underlayment, install Vic West, clean up debris and remove, and then a price. So it's just the same old paragraph scope of work. I'm like, well, have you ever heard of a contractor cutting corners? Yeah. Well, if they're not telling you they're installing the metal Z flashing, how do you know for sure it's going to get done? When you combine this with the fact that you've already talked about your property protection plan, you've already talked about how you're going to have this visual work order that's going to be used to keep the customers in the loop. If you've talked about your things that separate you from other contractors or your financing packages, by the time they're talking about the metal Z flashing, there's absolutely no doubt in their mind that you're probably the safer bet. And when you're spending $18,000 or $15,000 on something you don't want, everybody who bought a roof would have rather bought a boat. If you are at this point where the customer has to buy this thing and they're going to spend 15, 18 grand, one of the number one indicators that is going to drive their decision is being risk averse. They don't want to spend it twice and they don't want to chase a roofer down to do the thing that they said they were going to do.